Party. This is your host, Nate Bomberger.
Welcome to Smashing the Party. My name's Nate. Tonight, I'm going to talk personal. I'm going to get deep. It was one of those days where it's a little rough. And I will say, I struggled today. I woke up and struggled. So my goal for today is to make it interesting, but also share some personal things that are going on and hopefully help you understand, why I do this and why I'm still doing this thing. Trying to get my screens up, right? So it looks like we're good on Instagram. As you can see, I got a couple different new tricks up my sleeve for tonight. My hope is that the sound's working because that would suck. Looks like the sound's working. But I'm gonna get into it. I want to first off, I want to say today was rough. I woke up today and just worn out. And I think it was just emotional. And I'm not trying to be all dramatic. I don't like to talk about my personal problems or my struggles. I'm not looking for any kind of sympathy at all. This isn't attention getting to get people to watch this. It was a struggle to come up with content today because I was just in a daze, and I'll talk about it. So I figured I'll talk about what's going on. And for those of you that follow the show, I like to get deep or get real once in a while, even other than anger. So today I'm just going to talk about what's happening in Nate Bomberger's life without giving up personal identifiable information. So we'll go from there. Hopefully everybody gets sound. And if you don't get sound on anything, that's a whole nother issue. So let's get into it. My post for today was "The world got you down." And I woke up today, the world had me down. And I do struggle from time to time with depression. And I've been very good at managing it, doing things. I'm in therapy. I didn't go to therapy today. You can yell at me later. I was supposed to, but I didn't even feel like going to therapy. And I don't know if my therapist watched, but I didn't even give him an excuse. But it was one of those days where I kind of struggled to get moving, not out of bed and into the course of my work, but it felt like somehow my purpose was zapped from me. And that's what depression can feel like sometimes, is that you're just like, what the hell am I doing all this for? Right? What does it all mean? Not just smashing the party, just everything, right? And of course, you're watching this. This isn't going to be a trigger warning for anybody. I'm not in any kind of detriment. I'm not allowed to say the other word. I'm not looking to, to get any kind of sympathy or help. This isn't a shout out for help. I have help. But I just wanted to share kind of really how I persevere through those moments. And I want to talk through what gets me there. So I'm going to link it to the show, of course. This show started from passion, from me wanting to change things and not feel the power that I have, wanting to yell and scream and not knowing how to. And I'm a technical person, and this seemed like the right avenue at the time. So, I started this trying to deal with my emotions about the frustration of the party and how things get done. That also comes into my personal life a lot. I get frustrated, that same amount of frustration where I take massive action, register a domain, get frustrated, and I get frustrated with myself and I take massive action, and I usually fix it. And so these are good things, right? These are good things about Nate Bomberger. So that when I'm looking at things, I definitely have that engineering perspective. I can look at something and say, all right, it's fucking shit and I got to fix it. But it's getting up and getting the tools to fix it, right? And that's the tough part when you're in a mode where you're down in the dumps. And what gets me there just most of the time is the powerlessness of changing things that I can't control. And it may be things in my life, it could be things on the world stage. And the thing that really bothers me the most, and probably is a confession, is I'm overly not a confession. Everyone that listens to this probably knows more about Nate Bomberger than I do, just because are not you just know the things that I think that are secret. You probably see. I'm a sensitive person, no secret, right? I'm a sensitive. Uh, I I've always been that way, and anger is one way to kind of deal with it. Um, when I was younger, I was definitely the crybaby in the family of 6 brothers, 6 sisters. So, I found crying to be the way to deal with my emotion, and also probably a form of manipulation to get other people in trouble. But I was a little whiny baby. I'm not going to lie. I mean, I don't know what that makes me now. I wasn't a bully, so I was a crybaby. And it doesn't make me not tough, just so you know. I mean, I'm not gonna. I still need to hold my bravado a little bit. I'm fearsome on the soccer field. But I think about things that I can't control, and that gets me down, and so I can change them. But if I can't change them, or I can't yell and scream about them enough, then I can kind of feel powerless, and I can go in a spiral. So uh, it's been a pattern, and not a spiral to self destruction all the time, depending on my habits, of course. So I have good habits right now. Right now, I'm healthy and all those things, and I'm not doing the good drugs, unfortunately, and I'm not drinking alcohol, unfortunately. I hope don't cut that. Don't cut that, Facebook. I'm trying to navigate your fucking censorship. I'm allowed to say fuck as much as I want, but apparently other things, linking words with known entities, is bad. Anyway. So it's always been something where I'm aware of this predisposition. And so there's been many times where, exercise and all those things help, but it becomes more meta when it becomes things outside of my control in the world. And that's what is kind of really kind of, I want to just share with you that there's a lot of times where, I'm sad just because of the world. And so that is something that just always doesn't go away. And so, you can have personal ambition and you can accomplish things. And I would argue that in someone's eyes, I've been mildly successful in some things comparatively. Maybe not, but I've put my mind to things and accomplished things. And just, it's not been, I'm privileged to have a brain that works somewhat and is above average, and I have the capabilities and the talents to follow through and do things. So I've been lucky. I've been lucky to be able to do the things that I can control. For instance, I know that exercise is something that I need to do when I start feeling down in the dumps or whatever. And for most of my life, exercise was just part of my life. I played soccer up until a couple years ago. So it was really nothing to be in shape all the time. I didn't run 5Ks or anything like that, but I was a runner in soccer. And so that was a nice balance that I had going on, that always was like a parallel thread to manage the doldrums in my personal life, right? So exercise, alcohol was another one. Good drugs, really good drugs was another one. I'm not advocating these methods. Certainly, I know that that would probably get me banned. This one flagged, but this was a history, a testimony. I use the word testimony of things that I did in the past to manage those ups and downs of things in my life that I could control. Right. So for those of you that are just checking in and wondering why I'm kind of getting all meta, I'm trying to help you understand where more about the mindset behind this driver and how I pick myself up, even with some of the privilege that I have, with some of the mind games that I go through internally. So it's really meta, and so you're gonna probably fall asleep to it and wake up and think Nate needs to go to therapy more. But it's for me, and we'll get it. I can get into the basis for it, but it's a struggle because I'm also very energetic and full of life and like to entertain and make people happy and make sure no one else is sad. And I don't really like to, I'm not a vindictive person. I have my proclivities or whatever you want to call it, making up words probably. But I'm a decent person when it comes to that. So, I do the work on myself. And so I can go through times where I'm like, all right, I'm down, but I just fix it and I can do the work, therapy, whatever it is, right? And start working out. And within 30 days, you're good to go. By earlier than that, you start eating healthy. And those are all things that I can control that can mess with my chemistry in a good way or a bad way, depending on when those doldrums come. And so we all know what this is. I think everyone has to a degree. If you just eat like shit and you don't do anything, you start to feel down. For me, I probably is a little bit more intense, and more, I would say a product of the complex genetics that make me who I am. And also, I'm not sure that my youth wasn't wasted on things that didn't help. So all that being said, I'm excited about who I am. But where I continue to get, and I can pick myself up when those things are happening to me. But where it really comes in hard is when things around you that you really can't control or you can't do enough, and they just keep going. I would say at least once a week, I probably tear up just because I have to walk past a homeless person. So, and you think about it, it's like, it's such a big problem. Sorry, I'm trying to, it's one of those days where it's just like, ugh. So those kind of problems become, why are they my problems, right? And I think you can easily just kind of check past and just kind of ignore them because they're so meta and they're so big. But for some reason, it's very easy for me to put myself in the situation and immediately feel slighted or pain. So you kind of walk around with that. You look around, you see all that. So what do? I don't want to, I'm not trying to be all. The reason I'm really kind of getting emotional now is it's the weight of this that kind of motivated me to do this. The weight of that is what got me to do this. And so on days like today, where I'm struggling, and not because of my personal life. I mean, quite frankly, my personal life's great, and that's the fucked up thing. You'd think, I don't give a shit if I look like a puss or whatever, but you'd think that it's easy just to look at the things you have and just be happy and then people I know are healthy. So, and in one regard, there's a guilt because of that. It's like, I have it good. So what am I being sad and forlorn about? Um, but it's not about me. It's not about me. And that's the thing that for me, that's hard to shake is that I can fix the things that are dealing with me and get myself to where my body's feeling good and I'm up and ready to go. But then you walk into the world, it's like it's like a weight, a cloud of angst. So today was just weird. I woke up with it and I look at the chemicals and what I'm eating and what could have triggered it. And there's nothing going on. It's just except for big things in the world. And I've been trying to not talk about the things that are happening across the world. And here's the other thing that bothers me, by the way. It's a meta thing, but I know that these things are being brought to my attention and there's more angst and anguish around the world that that's not being put in front of me. So there's also a guilt inside of me that says, is it are you being manipulated and manufactured on this cause? And there's way more horrible things that are going on and you don't know about it. So you're just kind of mourning in this kind of upper layer where it's like you're not really in the muck. You just get to feel a little sadness. And it's not like I want to feel those things. I just think I just want to be genuine about, what kind of motivates me and also brings me down. Quite frankly, I think that's probably the best way to say it is that the motivation for smashing the party started from my frustration and people promising and saying they're going to do certain things and then just not doing it and then having the power to do them and just acting like they didn't do it. Just mind boggling. It's like, what the fuck? I get it. You're probably looking at me and saying, oh, well, Nate, you did this. I'm not perfect. I just think that when you're in a position like that, I would say anytime I've been in a position where I'm managing other people or in a position where I have power in a work setting, I'm always looking to be the leader you have to be a certain way. And I know that that's not always been the case. And I have examples in my personal life where I wasn't. But I think that that's how you want to exude yourself. And so these people have power and they don't fight for the folks underneath them. And I will say that even in my flaws, I've always kind of pushed for those that don't have power if I'm representing them. And that's just something I've always felt. And it's because I just know what I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what it is. But it certainly I don't know if everyone feels this. I guess there's moments where I don't. I'm not saying like, oh, every time I walk past a homeless person, but there's a constant. It's why I kind of follow the news on a meta level to see how the power structures are just abusing people and pushing people around to push them into these different think groups, if you will. And so it's frustrating. And I would love to shut it off and just say, fuck it. I've been in situations where I can be very self-consumed about myself and my ambition. And then, it's like, all right, I'm doing these things for myself to get to a certain level. And it doesn't matter how far you go or how much you develop yourself if you're kind of surrounded by people that don't have the same opportunity. And you see like, why don't how can we actually continue even thinking it's mildly okay, even take the side of anyone that doesn't have power and continue on as if it's not causing immense pain for people. And we can just kind of go along and, play our PlayStation, Netflix, whatever. And I'm in it. I'm in it, right? I'm in it. I'm in the system that I'm bitching about that does nothing, doesn't do enough, and I have privilege, and I'm being all poopy headed because my privilege, I can't do enough. It is really why I titled this one "The World's Got Me Down," because and the world got you down too. You want to turn off your feelings. You want to just say fuck it and just ignore it and just put your head down and focus on the things that I want to focus on and ignore it. And today was a day where it was like, what do I want to say? What do I want to say tonight? When I was thinking about this, what did I want to do? What am I doing during the day with my time that's meeting a larger purpose? Or am I just making money? These things, right? And this is kind of how depression can work, right? You find yourself in this kind of pattern of spiraling negativity, and you have to figure out, find a baseline for what you're, almost like a boundary for what you're going to accept. And so, I poo-pooed a little bit in the morning. I did. And when I say I poo-pooed, I don't mean that like I cried. I just mean like I was kind of complaining and bitching and moaning about the day and about things that were going on. And I started off the day pretty ragged. And it has to do with the things that are happening in the world. It's like, not only the homeless folks, but the things that are in the news over the weekend, Memorial Weekend. Trying not to say too much about it because this platform doesn't allow you to talk too much about it, but it's just insane that we're kind of just watching things happen in real time. And those things happen, just like the George Floyd thing really triggered me. Triggered's a weird word, but it's effective. It's describing the feeling of kind of initiating these feelings of whatever, anger, frustration, sympathy, rage. And I think a lot of times for me, they're the sympathy and rage for some reason are intertwined. So like it's easy for me to feel sympathy and immediately want to just, rage against the power structures that are putting that person down. All right. So look, this was my therapy session, I guess. I felt it was important to share that because it does help to shine some light on the motivation behind what this whole thing is. It also helps to shine a light on why I'm doing this is that to help folks and to relate and to really talk about things that are interesting and make people think, right? And so I think everyone can relate to those times where things aren't going your way, and then you have the power to fix them. And then you probably can relate to times where things aren't going your way and you don't have any power to fix them. And there's nothing you can do. And you just can watch it slide downhill right in your face. And you've got to figure out how you're going to deal post trauma or post deal. And so, this is life. And I'm really talking about things that everyone goes through and whether it's, whatever level. And quite frankly, it's a privilege to be able to have it be at a level where you're not worried about food and shelter. And that's where I kind of have these conflicting moments of guilt. Is it even warranted for me to even be, oh me, I feel so sad. The world, it's kind of like it is a victimization in a way. So I'm aware of how it sounds. I'm aware how this could be sliced up and sound very self-absorbed. But that's what depression will do when you're in that mode. To get out of it, you kind of have to get out of yourself and stop being internal and stop thinking about it. And so even though those things are happening outside that you can't control, oftentimes putting yourself like head into solving that problem that's external, or at least doing what you can to help people to get out of that problem, does help. And so I know this too. So that's why today, despite, you know, it's a little pat on the back. I mean, I was feeling like calling in everything today. And it was just one of those days where I kind of had to repurpose myself and say, look, not everything you do is going to have some big impact, motherfucker. First of all. Number two, you got to take baby steps. I think I oftentimes compare myself to the hare in the tortoise and the hare. I'm that person that can run fast, but I'll take a nap and it's to my detriment. And so today is one of those days I've been trying to learn persistence and continue, continuity, which is tough for folks that have ADHD, if you know what I mean. We can find and flitter and find the next dopamine hit and forget everything that happened before that. But it's relevant to Smashing the Party because the driver behind Smashing the Party is me at this point, with your help and support and your views and your likes and your shares and your comments. Did I leave that thing on? Oh, good. I didn't. The thing that tells you to comment. But I think it's important to share kind of where I'm coming from when I have those days, because those days are what I'm trying to prevent for other people, right? I mean, we're trying to figure out ways that people can thrive and people can live, and we have policy disagreements because of these philosophical differences in what we think will bring the best outcomes. Hopefully, that's what we're coming up with. And so this is really also a component of my therapy, because it's one of the things I do, in my opinion, that helps to put out awareness and talk about things and make people think. So that's also encouraging. So when I start the day and I come out of the day, like, feeling like the world's on my shoulders, when I have it pretty good, I have to find purpose, and I have to realize and kind of rethink and really reanalyze what I'm trying to do and if it still meets the muster to keep me going. And of course this does. And when I say keep me going, I just mean keep at whatever you're doing, persisting. And so a couple things happened. A couple things happened today that were inspiring. First of all, I did some other things with the fancy technical stuff, which you don't know and don't see. And so that was exciting. That was fun for me. It was personal enjoyment. The other thing is I had some comments come in that were pretty encouraging, that just made me remember why I do it. And they were engaging conversations that I had with folks that watch the show. And while I'm poo-pooing, folks are taking time to support it and watch it, and also engaging in the ideas that I talk about on the show. So another boost. So reaching outside of myself, coming out and doing the thing. Look, social media is not fun to play with. It can be, even as a creator, it can be daunting. But, reaching out of my bubble and just responding to folks, not crawling into a hole, kind of got me out of my spot, and also trying to figure out and validate that what I'm doing makes sense. And all that I spent time doing today, and reaffirming, kind of validating some of the things I'm thinking about and where I want to go with this. So, you kind of, am I out of it completely? No, I'm not, but I feel better. And I know day by day, the things I'm doing are making a difference for me, as well as hopefully making a difference somehow for what little stamp I'm going to leave on this planet. And those things are enlightening, and those things lift me up. And it's nice to have people engage, and even on those bad days. So today, I know I went into this kind of hole for you, and hopefully my sound worked. Oh God, that'll be great if my sound didn't work. I'm gonna record it and It's possible my sound didn't work. Who knows? What the fuck? Could have been a whole soundless thing. That's great. It's always great when I go back and I look at it. It's like, oh my God, I've spoke for like an hour without sound. I mean, obviously nobody's watching when that happens, but it's just funny. Before I close, and let me put a bow on what I said today. The world had me down today, and I think it can happen to everybody. Sometimes it happens in your personal life. Sometimes it happens because of external things. Depending on your predisposition for depression or how you may handle catastrophe in the past, or even how your trauma response is. I'm not a psychologist again, but I think everyone can relate to those things that you can't control and how it can really pull you off center and make you question things and be something that can prohibit you from moving forward. That's where discipline comes in, by the way. And that's something that took me a long time to learn. And that's where consistency and persistence comes through. And that can actually pull you out of these ruts, is just being consistent, consistently exercising, consistently eating right, consistently doing those things that you want to do, even when you think they're hard or you're doing the not fun stuff, and reaping the rewards. And those little dopamine hits that come from the end are also things that can help when you can't control everything. This is just what I do. I'm not trying to be a self-help guy. This isn't some pivot. This isn't some, calculated moment for me in this, other than I felt I needed to share it. I didn't have content. There's nothing better that I can always unscripted tell people what I'm thinking. And so I came to the conclusion that I would just share that with everyone, and maybe you'll get something out of it. But the good news is that even as I say these words, I feel better. As I've said before in the past, this show does do something for me. It does help for me to talk through my thoughts and get things out. I do feel purpose with my life, by the way, and I do feel purpose with this, and I enjoy it. And it doesn't matter if every night's not a fucking home run, and every night's not going to be the fucking show that's going to get me fucking the million hits that I need to self-fund this thing. But I enjoy it, and I do look at the aggregate product, and I kind of proud of that. I have 100 and some videos. I have 50. Dude, all right. So funny anecdote. Let me just put a bow on that, though. I'm happy about it, and so the moral of the story is: started out the day on a slump, rolled through the day, picked myself up, took a bunch of walks. Walking's good for you, by the way, especially in the sun. I mean, literally aimless walks. I don't care if I look like a fucking weirdo. Okay, it's good for my sanity, and then I also kind of reevaluated and repurposed and just kind of took a look at some of the work that I've been doing. And I engaged with some folks, and I got out of it. And so we're coming out of it, and we feel good about where we're headed. Funny story about my followers. First of all, yesterday, I'm doing a disservice to everybody with my following up on the comments. I know that. I added some comment stuff. Wow, there's a whole bunch of comments. Look at that. Oh my gosh. Wait, I'll go check out those comments. See, I told you I'm doing bad with the comments. Yesterday, a bunch of people were online, and let me see if I can see the comments. You can't fight your right to Ireland triggers me. Oh, what's up, Nathan? Good name. Yesterday, a whole bunch of people were on Instagram and engaging, which was pretty cool. And that was nice because I didn't realize it. And quite frankly, it's good for my engagement. So I don't know what was going on. I don't know if it was my title, but there was a ton of people, like 12 people, which is a lot. 12 people at one time, I think, on my Instagram watching. I know 12 people is not a lot, but it is. To me, it's a lot. So it means 12 people watching me in real time. If I get to 50 at a time, that's actually a lot, believe it or not. So 50 people. If you have a live stream and you have 100 people watching, that's pretty good. So 12 people was great. I don't know why that's still showing. The chat is ready to display messages. You son of a bitch. turn you off. You know what? Let me try something else. Let me see if I can do something else. There we go. Can you guys see that now? Probably can't see it on Instagram, but I don't know. Anyway, I want to make sure I engage with you guys more, and I do a bad job of it. I do good with the messaging, but I don't do good in the real time and responding to comments. So I'm going to do a couple things. First of all, I'm going to be opening up things to the comments a lot more, meaning I'm going to have the comments showing up more so that you can see them. If you're on Facebook, YouTube, or any of the other landscape platforms. On Instagram, I can also show them. It's not as good, but I can try to engage, and I have 2 windows open. So I'm going to be up in my engagement. I don't expect a bunch of people to start commenting, but because of yesterday, I missed an opportunity to get engaged with you folks real time. And so I think that's a good, if I want to get more than one person watching it live, I think engaging those folks that do comment in real time is a good thing. The other thing we're going to be doing is I've been editing. I've been editing like a monster and doing things that are going to get us to other platforms and get the quality up. So I can repurpose old videos and do all kinds of shit. Why do you care? Because we're trying to grow this motherfucker. We're trying to get out there, right? We're trying to grow it. Even on those bad days when we have those slumps and the world's got you down, we still got a mission. And the mission is to spread the gospel of smashing the party, break up shit. Let's get real data-driven policy in there. And change the world, right? That's the whole goal. And also piss off people that have power. Hold them to account. Hold their foot to the fire. Whatever you want to say, whatever your cliche of the day is. But I think that moment that I missed yesterday really kind of bothered me in that there was a lot of good stuff and a lot of supportive stuff in the Instagram, and it's hard to go back and respond to them. So I've been using these platforms that present it out, and they try to consolidate the messaging. So I'm streaming to multiple platforms so they consolidate the messaging. So the messaging is kind of awkward and weird while I'm live, but I need to get better at it. And I know that interactivity is going to be the key to doing 3-hour rants, which is what we're going to build to. We're going to be the Rush Limbaugh, except it'll be something else. But we want to get to the point where we can do that. And in this world, we need to be more interactive. We also need to do up our game and our quality and stuff. So all that matters to this, if you're listening, is stay the fuck tuned. Keep your eye on it. Keep supporting, keep liking, keep sharing. Tell me when I fuck up. You can. I get good feedback. Try to be nice. I'm sensitive. It's my art. I know it's imperfect, but that's part of the art, is crafting it in front of everyone so everyone gets to see the slow sculpting over time. And then they get to go back and say, holy shit, you were bad. And that's the goal, right? Is to continue to improve. Let me think. What else did I want to say? I got my little chat thing up. We're going to hide the overlay, put it on full screen. I think that's it. We're going to be back tomorrow, Monday through Thursday, 10:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, unless it's a holiday. I'm not going to miss a beat. I do appreciate everyone subscribing, followed. I do want to make sure I tell my anecdote, though, before I leave. So I'm on the street doing my walk today or yesterday. And I always kind of walk around the block and go past the Coffin Bar. Sometimes I walk downtown. I'll just walk. And so I went past my 49th. I was walking down the street, and the 49th YouTube follower was walking the other way, pushing a cart. And I was like, hey, man, you're 50th YouTube follower. And he's like, no, I'm 49. You only got 49 followers. Turns out I took an old account that I had, and I was like, oh, fuck it. I followed myself. So I'm the 50th follower, but one of my other accounts. But he's the 49th. He knew it. And it was pretty cool. And I promised him, this doesn't go everywhere, but just because of the moment, I promised him that I would reward him when I see him at a libation station in some time in the future. So look, I take care of my people. 49 is on the take care of chart. He's on the inside. You could be on the inside. I'm contemplating just stopping streaming everywhere and just streaming YouTube. I kid you not. I know it would be very lonely and it would be very humbling just to have that, but I'm almost ready to force the hand. There's been a lot of things happening to Meta with them trying to take over the TikTok creator kind of moniker, and they're doing things to incentivize content. The problem is the way they're incentivizing it, it's forcing you to go down the path that allows you to only put content that they approve, right? It's their platform, it's their right. But it's the content that I want to put out, it's going to say things against power, and they don't like that. They've said that as much in the ones that they've flagged from me. So I'm not going to start a battle with Facebook. I'm not big enough. I'm just going to move to a platform that will cater to it. So that's in the works if this doesn't pan out. I'm going to continue. Facebook's nice for many, many reasons. It's easy to market. It's easy to boost. Again, we spent no money on this. The money that's coming in, any money from subscriptions goes right into marketing. So, this isn't like I've put a lot into it yet monetarily. But when we do, we want to make sure that we're on the right platform. We're not just putting money into a platform that's going to shut us down. So I'm not saying YouTube is perfect, but YouTube just tends to have a little bit more racy content. I know that the algorithm doesn't like it, but you can still keep your account as long as you're following their terms. They're all restrictive, folks. That's why we got to grow this motherfucker to big enough so we have a voice that's not tied to these digital platforms. And of course I do. I can go around the world. I can do all kinds of things. So they can never shut me down. But if we want to have the megaphone that we like, we've got to play by the rules until we get big enough where we can kind of squash on the rules if we can. But big dreams. Let's do it. I got time. I got nothing else to do besides make money and pay my bills, stay black and proud to be American. I made that up as I go. Listen, I got nothing else. Thank you very much. Make sure you subscribe, follow. Let's turn on our little thing. Make sure you subscribe, follow, like, share, do all that. Why are you booing? Oh, he's booing. I got a boo from Nathan. I appreciate your fandom, Nate. It's well appreciated and earned. That's all I got, folks. I'll check you out on tomorrow, Monday through Thursday, 10:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Check me out tomorrow, and then we'll enjoy the weekend. Oh, I do have some interviews coming up on After Hours, exciting ones. Make sure you check that out.